Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome. I'm so excited to be here today at the iconic Los Angeles County Museum of Art, in one of the most iconic places, not just in Los Angeles, but in the world behind us, to open a new chapter in streetlight design for Los Angeles. When we drive through the city, we think about some of those neighborhoods or iconic places like the Hollywood sign that define LA. But in every single neighborhood, there are streetlights. Streetlights that give us a sense of community, that light our way home, that give us a feeling of safety and of the creativity that swirls all around us. And so less than a year ago, I stood on the other side of these lights, the iconic urban light of Chris Burden, to launch a competition to design the next generation of streetlights for Los Angeles. You know, we have some of the most beautiful streetlights in the world, and some of them were designed right here in Los Angeles. But after the Second World War, they became very utilitarian, a little less interesting, the anonymous streetlights that you see in many of our neighborhoods. But we set a clear goal out to select a new standard streetlight for our city, one that would honor our past, that would embrace our future, and light our streets and sidewalks in time for when the world comes here in 2028 for the Paralympic and Olympic Games. And to get it done, we do what LA does. We ask the world for help. So much since we came together here less than a year ago has changed in the midst of the crises that we face. How we go about our day, how we gather, how we eat, our common spaces, what's open and what's not. But even in the midst of this moment, one thing has stayed consistent about our city. Los Angeles remains a place for dreamers and for doers. This is a place where cultures collide every single day, and where cultures intersect, and the world comes to invent and to innovate and to inspire. For proof, look no further than to the enthusiastic response we got when we asked for help locally and internationally. Submissions from more than 100 design teams came in from across the globe. The diversity of submissions was breathtaking, and I thank everybody who submitted. While there can only be one winner, it was astounding to see the amazing designs that came forward, and our judges certainly had their work cut out for them. They thoroughly reviewed and evaluated each and every submission. Each team was anonymized, so we didn't know who was submitting. We just looked at the design. And we narrowed them down to 4 amazing finalists. And then we asked each team to submit updated design proposals for another round of reviews. And finally, the jury selected a winning design. We're going to share that in just a moment. But we took this project seriously because we know that it's so much more than about just one design. It's about lighting the streetscape that sets the scene for film and television sets. It is something that welcomes visitors from every country on Earth, and it serves as the backdrop to the stories of 4 million souls who call Los Angeles home. It's about the lives and the livelihoods of our city. It's about providing vital services, things that you depend government to produce, and claiming a future for Angelenos that is equitable and safe and sustainable. These were goals that our designers met. And across our city today, more than 180,000 streetlights light the way. And between 1,000 and 2,000 of these new streetlights spring up each year. So this is an opportunity not just to say what we want to do, but what we will begin to do immediately. And this effort did not happen overnight. And I want to give some special thank yous to the people that brought us here today. It was a labor of love, an extraordinary partnership across our city family. So before we unveil the design, let me acknowledge those folks. Our Board of Public Works Commissioners, with special thanks to Vice President Aura Garcia and Commissioner Jessica Calosa, who oversaw this project. Christopher Hawthorne, our city's first Chief Design Officer, who has been a steward of civic architecture and urban design across Los Angeles. The Bureau of Street Lighting, which is your department that oversees all the streetlights in LA, and our Department of Cultural Affairs for working to bring us here to today. And Norma Isahakian, who's the General Manager of the Bureau of Street Lighting, whose vision and leadership were absolutely crucial. And as Norma sets out on her retirement, which we congratulate her on, we're so grateful to her 32 years of service to the City of Angels. And I also want to thank everybody who stepped forward to be on a jury, for our professional and student competition, and for all the hard work in engaging the design community across our city, across our country, and across the world, and in selecting our winners. So with that, the moment you've all been waiting for, the streetlight design that will light Los Angeles' streets into the future. We'll begin with a short video. Wow, wasn't that incredible? Well, with that, I'd like to introduce the team responsible for helping light our streets into the future. Come on forward, representing Project Room, an emerging local design firm right here in Los Angeles. And remember, we had folks submit from around the world, and the winner just happened to be, we didn't know because it was anonymous, right here in LA. Please welcome one of the partners, Sandy Hume.
First off, I want to thank Mayor Eric Garcetti, Norma Isahakian, the team at the BSL, and Christopher Hawthorne. In making this an open competition, they took a chance and gave an opportunity for anyone in the world to contribute their ideas and take an often overlooked system and make it better and more functional for its citizens. It's because of their belief in this collective human spirit that I find a lot of hope and see that every individual can make a contribution to the shape of the future of the city. Speaking as an LA native who was born and raised here, it's a tremendous opportunity, and my team and I are incredibly humbled by this honor. Special thanks goes out to the members of the Project Room team, Joachim Dahlquist, Sumit Sadev, and Isaac Resnikoff, as well as our structural engineers at Magnuson Klemensic Associates, Robert Baxter and Don Davies. When looking at the design of the streetlight, it was important to us that the light remain Los Angeles. What does that mean when the city has a multitude of neighborhoods, each with their own individual beautiful quirks and personalities? Each neighborhood of Los Angeles, individual in nature, makes up this vast collage that defines the city as a whole. And through it all, our streetlights stand, lighting our lives and providing an infinite network of glowing luminescence that unites us all. The goal was to take the ever-increasing number of things we demand from our streetlights, shade, traffic sensors, telecom, EV charging, wayfinding, banners, the list goes on, and translate that into a form that is uniquely LA. Our solution is not to force a singular form to be all things at all times, but to reimagine the streetlight pole as a bouquet that adapts its form to the needs of each location. Every need is assigned a dedicated stem, which provides form, structure, and forward-looking expandability. This streetlight, or super bloom as we call it, expresses its variety of program in a series of playful arcs while also keeping a simple and rational organization for ease of use and maintenance. Each service of this bouquet is clearly understood and not disguised. The formal expression is both honest and beautiful. At this moment, the city has a historic opportunity to reimagine its core systems as a symbol of our city's diversity rather than an expression of ordered uniformity. In this way, it can truly become an icon of the city of LA. At a time of great cultural and civic transformation, the streetlight is an ever-changeable monument to an ever-changing city. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Sandy. We are so inspired by your vision, the creativity that your team brought to this project, and that you are gifting to future generations of Angelinos. And the rest of the team, as was mentioned, is Samit Sadev, Joachim Dahlqvist, and also Isaac Resnikov. And I'd like to, I know we're in COVID, but let's give them a round of applause and thank them for all that they did. And I know that Isaac and his partner Liz just welcomed a baby girl on Monday, so we send them all our best. I'd like to now hand over to our Assistant Director of the Bureau of Street Lighting, the woman who's the Executive Officer and helped see so much of this through too, and we're so pleased that she is here with us today, representing all of you in our Bureau of Street Services. Please welcome Megan Hackney.
Good. How are you? Good morning. I'm Megan Hackney, Executive Officer for the Bureau of Street Lighting. I'm excited to be here today with Mayor Garcetti and our dedicated team as we announce the winner of the LA Lights the Way Streetlight Design Contest. The City of Angels has an illustrious and illuminating history of creative streetlight design dating back to 1867. Back then, LA had less than 10,000 residents and gas street lamps lighting the way. Fast forward to Los Angeles in 2020. With over 4 million residents, 223,000 streetlights in 400 different styles light the second biggest city in America. Many of these 400 designs tell the story of our city's elegant history. We have grand ornamental designs along our downtown boulevards, and we have quaint post-hop designs that light our wonderfully eclectic neighborhoods. Most of these streetlights originated in the early 1900s. With the exception of a few new streetscape poles, we have not seen a new design since the latter part of the 20th century. The challenge we issued as we launched the LA Lights the Way design competition was to introduce a new LA light worthy of the rich history of streetlight design in the city. This new design presented today did not come from a manufacturer or a city project, but was born out of a grassroots competition which asked competitors to create a look that says, "This is LA." This pole does that and so much more. It gives us a unique modern look moving into the future of the city, yet still pays tribute to our rich and storied history. We want to thank Mayor Garcetti for his leadership, vision, and support for this project, his great team, along with our wonderful Bureau employees, as well as the dedicated jury members who donated their time, professional experience, and insight. They have all been instrumental in making this LA poll happen. With over 100 entries submitted for this project and submissions from local students and professional students, we were truly inspired. We thank everyone for their passion and for their interest in their city streetlight. Finally, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge our Norma Isahakian, our Bureau Director of the Bureau of Street Lighting. Norma just retired from a distinguished 32-year career with the City of Los Angeles, and her legacy with our Bureau will shine just as brightly as these lights will for years to come. It is our intent that the city's residents and visitors come to know this pole as the LA pole. It will not only provide light for our roadways, but has options for enhanced pedestrian lighting, smart city attachments, and color-changing beacon that will reflect the mood of the city. We are confident that everyone will enjoy this design, and we encourage you to keep a lookout for this pole on our streets in the not-so-distant future.
Well, thank you so much, Megan, and we appreciate you and everything that everybody at the Bureau of Street Lighting does every single day. I also want to thank Jennifer Pope McDowell from my office, who was lead on this. When it said my team, I wanted to give a face and a name to that, but thank you, Jennifer, for the work that you always do. With that, let me turn it over to the city's Chief Design Officer. We've never had a Chief Design Officer, as I mentioned, and when I became mayor, I thought in a place as creative as Los Angeles, we should take less of an ad hoc approach to design, to actually make it intentional, whether it's the buildings that we authorize or whether it's the buildings that we build, the public works that we put down, or the way that we can inspire this decade of creativity leading up to the world coming here in 2028. And I knew the right man for that job was Christopher Hawthorne. He's going to give us a little bit more context on the historic competition and how this design fits into the rich history of civic design here in Los Angeles. Christopher?
Thank you, Mayor. Why streetlights? That's the question I've been getting as Chief Design Officer since we launched this competition a little less than a year ago. Why a competition for streetlights as opposed to some other design category? 3 reasons above all. First, because we have such a rich tradition of streetlight design in this city, as you've heard already, dating back more than a century, that we have an opportunity to reconnect to. Second, because our most beautiful streetlights have tended to be concentrated in our wealthiest neighborhoods, leaving us with an obligation to think about how to distribute good public realm design in a more equitable way across the city. And third, perhaps most important of all, because the streetlight is one of the very few designed objects that the city produces, and really the only one with its level of prominence in the cityscape, that is installed in every single neighborhood of Los Angeles. The winning design in this competition, which Project Room calls Super Bloom, is not a single streetlight, and I think that's the most important thing to stress, and the single most important strength of the design and why it prevailed. It is a family of forms, almost infinitely reconfigurable, drawn from basic, easily sourceable parts. It is like Los Angeles in that way, as Project Room has pointed out. It has no single or fixed form. It's multifaceted. It embraces a range of approaches. It's open to taking on new challenges. Not only does the design make this new streetlight highly adaptable to future changes in what we ask our streetlights to do or to carry, it also means that when new elements are added, the design by Project Room seems more like itself, not less. This was unique, frankly, among the competition entries. The design will certainly evolve as we move forward, evolve in some of its details as we head toward fabrication on a broad scale. But the integrity of the design that connects this family of forms will, I'm confident, stay intact, given its inherent flexibility and adaptability. This too was a major strength of the Project Room proposal. The design that Project Room came up with is full of optimism and maybe seems all the more meaningful for that in arriving in the midst of this challenging year. It is also deeply rooted in an LA sensibility. It refers back to the great history of streetlight design while also seeming fresh, contemporary, and forward-looking. This isn't a nostalgic treatment of historic forms. It's more like a remix. It is now my pleasure to be able to announce the finalists and the honorable mention winners in the professional portion of the competition, as well as the winners in our 2 student categories. The 3 finalists who joined Project Room in the second phase of the professional competition and each earn a cash prize of $5,000 are first SWIV and Brooks and Scarpa, 2 Rios, Workpoint Engineering, Sean O'Connor Lighting, and Atelier 10. Third, the American Society of Cinematographers, and I love that one of the finalists was a group of cinematographers who think so carefully about how the city is illuminated. And Lightgear Film LA as part of that team as well. The jury also chose 2 honorable mention winners in the professional category with a prize of $2,500 apiece. Those 2 are FinFin Studio and Hubris Architecture. So congratulations to all of the professional winners. Next, the student winners, 6 in all in 2 categories. In our professional student category, first place, along with a cash prize of $1,000, goes to Johannes Liu and Helene Wong of Art Center College of Design in Pasadena. In our high school category, I'm pleased to announce 5 winners, each entrant or team receiving a cash award of $500. First, Alex Alejo Salvador from UCLA Community High School. Second, Sharu Balamorigan of University Charter High School, and Joanne Lee of John H. Francis Polytechnic High School. Third, Sabrina Mendoza of RFK UCLA Community High School. Next, Katie D. And finally, Anna Grigorova of John Marshall High School. Congratulations to the student winners. And again, in general, we were really overwhelmed with the quality and the number of the submissions we had in the competition. In closing, a few words of thanks. I want to echo the mayor's and Megan Hackney's words of thanks to Norma Isahakian, who was instrumental in leading this competition as executive director of our Bureau of Street Lighting and is just retired after 32 years of service to the city. She was a fantastic partner in this effort from beginning to end. In addition to Norma and me, the jury included Fred Fisher, Ellen Wright, Alan Loomis, and Aura Garcia, the vice president of our Board of Public Works. And I want to thank all of them for what was truly a productive, thoughtful, and collegial process. Thanks as well to Megan Hackney, from whom you've heard already this morning, and her colleagues at BSL, and to Danielle Brazil and the Department of Cultural Affairs. We look forward to working closely with you in the next phases of this process as we move into prototyping and fabrication. Special thanks to Guy Nordenson and Gina Morrow of Guy Nordenson and Associates, the structural engineering experts that we brought in as part of our technical review of the entries of phase 2 in the competition. To my colleagues in the mayor's office who have shepherded this process from start to finish, Deputy Mayors William Chun and Barbara Romero, Carol Armstrong and Liz Crossan in the Mayor's Office of City Services, and the week-to-week crew that really made this happen. You've heard already from the mayor thanking Jennifer McDowell, who was a key partner in this effort, along with Nicholas Rue and Nora Chin, my colleagues in the mayor's office. Thanks to all the entrants in the competition, we were really overwhelmed by the response we got to our call for entries. We thank every designer, architect, engineer, and lighting specialist and cinematographer who turned their talents to this challenge. And to Project Room, the winners in the competition, congratulations again. Thank you for your ingenuity and helping us imagine and embrace a new era for streetlight design in Los Angeles. I look forward to taking on the work ahead of us, and there is work ahead of us, with you and the team and our colleagues at the Bureau of Street Lighting as we work toward installing this new design across the city. Finally, Mr. Mayor, thank you for emphasizing so consistently the power of good design in making this a more beautiful, efficient, and equitable city. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you to our Chief Design Officer. Thank you, Christopher, for you and your team's great work on this. And I want to thank Michael Govan as well, who is the head of this great Los Angeles County Museum of Art. As you can hear, it's kind of a loud press conference because LACMA is on the move, and we can't wait to see the next chapter unfold here. So thank you for hosting us here. And I look forward to the day, to everybody who's watching, when we can all gather together and celebrate under the glow of our brand new streetlights. This is part of this next chapter of LA history that boldly is saying we all belong, we are all creative, and we all have the freedom to be who we want to be and to make the city we want to see. Thank you, everybody, and see you soon. Stay strong, stay safe. As always, stay at home when you can, and stay lit.